Language is created on necromancy, evidence on how we are speaking a language of spells to keep you dead in the eyes of the law. Our world is run on necromancy laws. What is necromancy? Necromancy, sorcery, witchcraft, black magic, properly divination by communication with the dead. Old French English, necromancy, magic, necromancy, witchcraft, sorcery, from medieval Latin, necromantia, from Latin, necromantia, divination from an exhumed corpse, from Greek, necromantia, from necro, dead body, from root neck, mantia, divination, oracle, from magisu, to prophecy, from mantis, one who divines, a seer prophet, one touched by divine madness, from mantisia, be inspired, which is related to memos, passion, spirit, see mania. The spelling was influenced in medieval Latin by Niger, black. Niger means black, or notion of black arts. The modern English spelling, a mid-16th century correction, necromantic. Whereas most necromancers unaffiliated with the cult use their mother tongue, such as common, the cult uses the language of death. This simple act imbues the spells with more power. The language of death is written using runes. Modern era, in the present day, necromancy is more generally used as a term to describe manipulation of death and the dead, or the pretense thereof, often facilitated through the use of ritual magic or some other kind of occult ceremony. What is the ability of necromancy? Necromancy, also called black magic, comes from the ancient Greek words for corpse, necro, and prophecy, mancy. If you travel to the underworld to speak to the dead, then you have the power of necromancy, not to mention geomancy, the ability to read signs from the earth to find the necropolis or the city of the dead. What is a necrotic magic? Necrotic magic, magics whom have converted to a darker art. They are commonly known as necromancers. It is common art practiced by essentially dark mages. Necromancy is purely the alteration of life force, the transferring and granting of it to others. What is the meaning of pharmaca? The word pharmaca in the Bible is related to the occult and pagan worship practices. Although these practices do not refer to pharmaceuticals, and they included practices that involved conscience-altering drugs and narcotics containing poisonous elements. What is the Greek meaning of pharmacy? Pharmacy is derived from Greek word pharmika, meaning use of drugs, medicines, poisons or spells, potions, poisonings, witchcraft, remedy, cure. The practice of pharmacy has been around for thousands of years, and healing with medicine plant is as old as mankind itself. Yet they don't use plants, they use chemicals. Spells that kill are witchcraft and necromancy. The whole pharmaceutical industry is guilty for poisoning our world via the necromancy language, poisons and potions. How do we speak a necromancy language? Through the Black Law Dictionary. The Black Law Dictionary, Deluxe 5th edition, definitions of the terms and phrases of American and English jurisprudence, ancient and modern. As you can see here, the Black Law Dictionary, it actually looks like a spell book with the entwining of the four corners, and you can see they're entwining their contract rules within the four-corner rule. How would you define jurisprudence? Jurisprudence is the philosophy and theory of law. It is concerned primarily with both that what law is and what it ought to be. That includes questions of how persons and social relations are understood in legal terms and to the value in and of law. So again, they let you know this is just a theory and it's just a philosophy of law. And they've killed it by using the word black, the black law, the necro law, black magic spells. Necro equals dead, equals necromancy is now dead magic and is now law. Black man equals slave or dead. What is civilly mortis? Civilly dead, dead in the view of the eyes of the law, the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. As you know, grammatically, black is an adjective and not a proper noun. Socially and politically, black implies civilly mortis, which means dead in the eyes of law. Negro equals black, and black means dead. The word negro is Spanish for black. The Spanish language comes from Latin, which has its origin in classical Greek. The word necro in Greek is derived from the root word necro, as in necromancy, meaning dead. So there's your necromancy law book, because it's necro law dictionary, if you translate the black into its root word, which is necro, proving that this law book is for necromancy and witchcraft. The law book used in courts is called the Black Dead Law Dictionary, proving it is a law of witchcraft, sorcery, necromancy. What is the Black Law Dictionary UK? Black Law Dictionary is the only legal dictionary to provide such data. The extensive bibliography lists the more than 1,000 classics of legal literature that are briefly quoted throughout the dictionary to amplify the user's understanding of legal terminology. In Black Law Dictionary, is Black Law Dictionary still used? The Black Law Dictionary, BLD, is the most frequently used legal dictionary in the United States. Black codes and Jim Crow laws were laws passed at different periods in the southern United States to enforce racial segregation and curtail the power of black voters. And the Civil War ended in 1865. Some states passed black codes that severely limited the rights of black people. All the people that they made dead through the Civil War made them civilly dead, made them black, and everyone was then registered as legally dead. What is an example of necropolitics? Living death. The ability for a state to subjugate populations so much so that they do not have the liberty of autonomy over their lives is an example of necropolitics. This creates zones of existence of the living dead, those who no longer have sovereignty over their own body, because they've all been made civilly dead. Again, under Code Law, Code Black, consenting to being black equals dead in the eyes of the law. The evidence speaks for itself. Thus, Greek word necro, death, when translated to Latin, becomes negro and black. Necropolitics is a social political theory of the use of social and political power to dictate how some people may live and some must die. The deployment of necropolitics creates what Archeli Mbembe calls death worlds, or new and unique forms of social existence in which vast populations are subjected to living conditions that confer upon them the status of the living dead. Again, these are posters from what time was it? Around the Civil War in the 1865 era. That's when they went and made everyone civilly dead. One of the times, as well as 1666 through the Black Death and everything else. If black means dead in the eyes of the law, why do they make you tick a contract box consenting to be black on their forms? This is to trick you into your civil death, legal death. First, there exists no nation of Black America. This is from the Civil Immortals Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. And it's Dante Cassius Clay is not black, African American, or Negro, CSF 1181. First, this is obviously gone in as evidence somewhere, CF. It's letting them know that this guy was made black and he's not. First, there exists no black nation or black Americans, nor is there a black America. In this documented record, the world over, black Americans are what is referred to in law as a misnomer, or collectively misdemeanors. As you well know, grammatically, black is an adjective and is not a proper noun. Socially and politically, black implies civil immortis, which means dead in the eyes of law. Black Americans is not a nationality, nor is it a nation. Therefore, black has no political interest nor powers in the free nation constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. Here you can see they've police themselves have made Mr. Martin Dean, made him dead using the word Mr., non-degeared his name, and also made him black to also make him dead. Capital demento or capital demolitio is a term used in Roman law referring to extinguishing either in whole or in part of a person's former status and legal capacity. There are 3 changes of state or condition attended with different consequences: maxima, media, and minima. Maxima is when they take all your, make you civilly dead. The police are committing necromancy in order to support the slave trade. Fictitious names are created for you to consent to an actor's mask, persona. Mr. Dean Martin's factual name is Matthew Dean Martin. This is a crime, capital dimension maxima, which is necromancy. They also sell you the unconscionable contract words like Mr. and Mrs., a title we was not born with, but we consent to via lack of knowledge. A title makes you a fictional character, ready for the acts of government and parliament. Creating division via higher and lower societies equals no man, women created equal, equals no level playing or equal rights. Historically, Mr. was applied only to those above one's own status if they had no higher title such as a Sir or my Lord. In the 19th century, 2 graduates of gentlemen were recognised. The higher one was entitled to the Esquire, and the lower one was then employed as Mr. before the name, killing them off by making them into a non-fact. If you're not native to the land, you have no rights in civil law equals civil death. Oh yeah, this is it here. Today on correspondence from Buckingham Palace, a man who is a UK citizen is addressed with post-nominal Esquire, and a man of foreign nationality is addressed with prefix Mr. So here in United Kingdom, i.e. England, the real name, if they put a Mr. in front of your name, you're not nationally from this country, and you've got no legal rights because you've killed yourself off and agreed to it. And again, if you go back to where Mr. comes from, which was really hard to find, you have to go to mortal. And this is reconstructed to be from pi, Mr. O, to die, or Mr. 2, dead. And as you know, when you write a letter, you go to Mr. blah, blah. So it's been mirrored, but your conscience mind will know you're saying dead. So every letter you write to Mr., you're killing someone. You also consent to being dead via the word Mr. to equals to Mr. When the words sound the same, they are the same. Your conscious mind knows every language, every anagram, and knows the answers to every sum. As subconscious is under a spell via fictitious words, spells equals necromancy. What is the origin of Mrs.? Mrs. originated as a contraction of the honorific mistress, the feminine of Mr. or Miss Master, which was originally applied to both married and unmarried women in the upper class, segregating and dividing. Writers who uses Mrs., again, making it a title. Traditionally, Mr. is used before the name of men and boys, while Mrs. is used before the names of married women. This purpose is to modify you as a fact into a non-fact fictional character. When you modify a fact, it becomes a non-fact, equals fiction. Example, Mr. Matthew Dean Martin, Mr. M.D. Martin, etc. is now a fictional character, ready for the plays and scripts written by the Acts of Parliament. What is the purpose of a title? A title is a document that shows legal ownership to a property or asset. A title can represent ownership of a real estate, real assets such as a car, or an intangible property or asset such as a trademark. So your title is a trademark. So all your titles you've got, they're your trademark and they're your trade names. Again, a title is the name of a book, composition, or other artistic work, a name that describes someone's position or job. So they've made you a fictional character. We have been sold via a certificate bond since we was born, via our birth certificates, agreeing to be shipping products. Example, do you know what child means in the eyes of the law? Children means purchase, birth means shipping. The number code is a bond, certificate code to bank on. We have been enslaved by an unconscionable contract from our born dates until now. So you've got the word birth and child. And here it says child. The term children in its natural sense is a word of purchase. Word of purchase. This has come from their Black Law 2nd edition, I think. Yeah, 2nd edition. This was taken from the Israel War file that we've done. We consent to being dead via necromancy language of soul trapping spells. As you can see, these are the forms that they make you fill in person. So they take you out of being a fact into a fictional character, putting your actor's mask on. They make you tick a box that takes you even out of your land as a native woman, or makes you dead as a native woman. The word person comes from Latin persona, meaning mask, is in the mask worn by actors on a classical stage, but rather a person, then its original meaning is not the player, not the living human being, but rather the role played. What is the term for black? Negro, now black. So again, means dead. Negro comes from the Greek word necro, meaning a dead, inanimate object. Interesting, necro derives from necromancy. So the word black is necromancy. The form of consent is all that needed for you to tick your rights away. Bye-bye rights with the ticks. If your name is written incorrectly, it is the civilly dead you, the person corporation you, aka straw man. As you can see, they've made many different pseudonyms and fictitious names, all different, in hopes that you're going to bite to one of them and contract. What is the meaning of a fictitious person? A supposed but in fact non-existent person referred to in some legal documents or proceedings. Can a person be fictitious? Fictitious people are non-existent people who, unlike fictional characters, have been claimed to actually exist. Usually this is done as a practical joke or a hoax, but sometimes fictitious people are created as part of fraud. As you can see, the fraud's coming from Essex Police themselves. Down here as well, Essex Police. Different names, so many different names, we've lost count. What does it mean to be fictitious? Fictitious is used to describe something that is false or does not exist. Although some people claim that it is true or exists. We're interested in the source of these fictitious rumours. 2, adjective, a fictitious character, thing, or event occurring in a story, play, or film, but never really existed or happened. Generally, the law requires the individuals must give their permission before their name or likeness can be used to a commercial purpose. The unauthorized use of someone's name or likeness may give rise to 2 different types of legal claims: violation of the right of publicity and invasion of privacy. Once you consent to being dead via the dead language, you are classed as civilly dead, civil death. Civil death is the loss of almost all civil rights by a person due to conviction for a felony. So as soon as you get arrested, they can get in there with a civil death. Or due to an act by the government or country that results in the loss of the civil rights. It is usually inflicted on a person convicted of a crime against the state or adults determined by a court to be legally incompetent because of mental disability. So this is why they sell you a lot of mental health, and they love to get mentally health because, again, it's another tick to get you civilly dead. They start off at 7, I bet, with your birth certificate, because that's a purchasable item and you're dead. And then all through life, they keep ticking, yep, she's still dead, yep, she's still dead, yep, she's still dead, for all the forms that you go through. You've got monastery death, medieval, historic. Civil death comes from all different, where is it? Right. In medieval Europe, felons lost all civil rights upon their conviction. This civil death often led to actual death, since anyone could kill and injure a felon with impunity. Under the Holy Roman Empire, a person declared civilly dead was referred to as fogulferi, free as a bird, and could even be killed since they were completely outside the law. Historically, outlawry, that it is declaring a person as an outlaw, was a common form of civil death. Under early English common law, a living person could under certain conditions be considered legally dead. The 3 categories generally recognised as resulting in civil death were profession, monastery death, abjuration, and banishment. So I went through and I checked out each one. Monastery death was a form of civil death, the loss of legal capacity of a living person known to common and civil law. The monastery death happened in some jurisdictions when a person entered a monastery or nunnery and professed into consecrated life. Upon entering a religious order, the person was considered dead in private law. Either their normal heirs or the monastery or nunnery inherited all their possessions. English common law. Under early English common law, a living person could, under certain conditions, be considered legally dead. Civil immortus, i.e. ticking the black box. One category which resulted in civil death was profession, the other being abjuration and banishment. When a person entered a monastic life, they become dead in law. Abjuration is the solemn repudiation, abandonment, or renunciation by or upon oath, often a renunciation of citizenship or some other rights or privileges. The term comes from the Latin abjure, to forswear. To forswear. Exile or banishment is primarily penal expulsion from one's native country, and secondly, expatriation or prolonged absence from one's homeland under either the compulsion of circumstances or for the rigors of some higher purpose. Usually persons and people suffer exile, but sometimes social entities like institutions, e.g. the papacy or government, are forced from their homeland. So usually persons are exiled. So again, we tick the person box. Once our birth certificates are signed, we have no legal standing as a product or purchase. We then carry on consenting to the theft of our rights via the fraudulent language throughout our lifetimes. It is all an act. What is the Presumption of Death Act 2013? The Presumption of Death Act 2013, the Act, this is a big one, they said the Act, it must be the big act, came into force on the 1st of October 2014 and provides a simpler route for the High Court to make a declaration for presumption of death. Specifically set out in the Civil Proceeding Rules Practices Direction 57B, has not been known to be alive for a period at least 7 years. The world is legally dead, civilly dead, or presumed dead, and it is all an act. Legal death is the recognition under the law of a particular jurisdiction that a person is no longer alive. In most cases, a doctor's declaration of death, variously called, or an identification of a corpse is a legal requirement for such recognition. A person who has been missing for a sufficiently long period of time, typically at least several years, may be presumed or declared legally dead, usually by a court. When a death has been registered in a civil registry, a death certificate may be issued. Such death certificate may be required in a number of legal situations, such as applying for probate, claiming some benefits, or making an insurance claim, which everyone apparently has, A person who has been missing for a sufficiently long period of time, typically at least several years, may be presumed or declared legally dead, usually by a court. When a death has been registered in a civil registry, a death certificate may be issued. After 7 years, a court may allow a missing person's affairs to be dealt with, provided that there are persons who would be likely to have heard of the missing person during that period. Those persons have not heard of the missing person, and reasonable attempts have been made to find the missing person. Presumption of Death Act 2013. The Presumption of Death Act 2013 received royal assent on 26th of March 2013 and introduced a new court-based procedure into the law of England and Wales, enabling those left behind after the disappearance of a person to obtain a declaration from the High Court that the missing person is to be deemed to have died. And the High Court has jurisdiction, and the application is properly made by a person entitled to make it, i.e. a coroner. The court will make the declaration if it is satisfied that the missing person has died or has not been known to be alive for a period of at least 7 years. The court will send a copy of the declaration to the General Registrar for England and Wales when it can no longer be the subject of an appeal. 7 years from your birth certificate, we were registered as corporation, persons presumed dead and lost at sea, registered to make equal joinder to all that is dead in the corporate world. In a corporation is dead and makes no equal, as a corporation is dead and makes no equal joinder with the living, you need to be registered dead to be equal. It's all an act that we consented to. After 7 years from birth certificate, you are then classed as dead and lost at sea under an act. The state becomes the beneficiary to your Sescu v Trust, your estate. Here you've got the Chief Coroner's Guide, number 18, section 1.4, reports investigation without a body. Here it says the guidance is intended to assist coroners who believe that there should be an investigation into a death in a circumstances where there is no body. So it's the coroner who brings forward the investigation. Normally, the jurisdiction of a coroner arises in the first instance only where the coroner is made aware that the body of a deceased person is within the coroner's area. Coroner and Justice Act 2009. Coroners and Justice Act 2009. The Coroners and Justice Act 2009 is an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. It changes the law on coroners and criminal justice in England and Wales. Among the provisions are preventing criminals from profiting from publications about their crimes, abolishing the ancillary offences of sedation and seditious, defamatory and obscene libel, reenacting the provisions of the Emergency Criminal Evidence 2008 Act, so that the courts may continue to grant anonymity to vulnerable or intimidated witnesses where this is consented with a defendant's right to a fair trial, criminalising possession of non-photographic pornographic images depicting under 18s and of adults where the predominant impression conveyed is of a person under the age of 18. These were the different sections of the Coroners and Justice Act of 2009. And then when I looked into this investigation about a body, I found this as well. This is of the Chief Coroner. Section 1.4 reports investigation about a body. This is from London, and this is come from Chelmsford, by the way. This is a different jurisdiction. This is London, and this one come from the Essex. The guidance is intended to assist coroners who believe that there should be an investigation into death in circumstances where there is no body. Normally, the jurisdiction of a coroner arises in the first instance where the coroner is made aware that the body of a deceased person is within that coroner's area. Section 1.1, Coroners and Justice Act 2009. The concept of near is perhaps best illustrated by cases where the body is lost at sea. Bearing in mind that the normal limit of coroner jurisdiction is coastal areas in this point, I don't know when it's done that, in the point of low tide, in ex parte Healy, for example, upholding the coroner's decision, the death while diving 8 or 9 miles offshore was held unhesitatingly to be outside the jurisdiction. So within 7 to 8 miles, you're in jurisdiction of the coroner, and they report you within that jurisdiction as being dead and lost at sea. It's all an act that we consent after 7 years of your birth. Don't worry about that. I've already said that. I need to take that out. Right. So here is the Sesquiu v Trust and the Sesquiu v Trust Act of 1666. It says an act for redress of inconveniences of proof of the deceased of persons beyond the seas or absenting themselves upon whose life estate do depend. Recital that Sesquiu V's have gone beyond sea and that revision, I can't say that. Revision, I can't even say it. Revision. Say that word for me. Revisioners cannot find out whether they are alive or dead. So you've got one here in 1666, and then we've got a new one, the Sesquiu v Act of 1707. And it says an act for the more effectual discovery of the death of persons pretended to be alive, to the prejudice of those who claim estate after their deaths. Reason for passing this Act's revisions and expectant upon determination of life estate, upon affidavit of belief of death of infant or other tenants for life, as herein mentioned, and that such death is concealed by guardian and C, may yearly move for the obtain and order in chancery for the production of such tenant for life, and upon refusal and C, to produce such tenant for life taken to be dead. So again, if you're lost for 7 years and you don't make any contact with these people, they presume you dead. To avoid this problem, the Act allowed life tenants to be declared dead if they went missing overseas for more than 7 years. The landlord or the revisioners could then launch an action to recover the estate. If the tenant subsequently turned up alive, they could regain the estate along with all damages. Evidence of the Sesquiu v Trust mentioned in their law books below. This is the Longman Dictionary with the colouring of the law, blatantly telling you on their cover that we colour the law here. And it shows you in there, this is from their book, beneficiary, one entitled for his own benefit, for whose benefit property is held, e.g. by a trustee, known also as the Sesquiu v Trust. Trust of land and appointment of trustee Act, 1996. Again, everything's stolen off you from an act. Again, Colouring of the law, is it illegal? Colour of law means the appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right. Colour of law usually implies a misuse of power made possibly only because the wrongdoer is clothed with the authority of this state. In the context of civil rights, statutes of criminal law, colour of the law and state action are synonymous. Primary tabs, colour of the law refers to the appearance of legal authority or an apparently legal right that may not exist. The term is often used to describe the abuse of power under the guise of state authority and is therefore illegal. Again, the SQV Trust, so this is illegal, yet it's law. Very misguiding. Good morning. Earnings, wages, corporate, corporation, corpse, mortgages, Mr. Mort. Our language is a weapon. Again, death pledge, mortgage, death pledge, mortal, subject to death. Again, civil and mortis and living dead. Consented to be a person and being civilly dead puts you equal joinder with a dead corporation as a dead person. And you lose your private law. Private law is the part of a civil law legal system which is part of the just commune that involves relationships between individuals, such as the law of contracts and torts, as it is called in the common law, and the law of obligations, as it is called in the civil legal system. It is to be distinguished from public law, it's not the same, which deals with relationship both between natural and artificial persons, i.e. your corporations, i.e. organisations, and the state, including regulatory statutes, penal laws, and other laws which affect the public order. In general terms, private law involves interactions between private individuals, whereas public law involves interactions between the state and the general population. What are the bases of public law? The type of law governing the conduct of public bodies is known as public law. Public law should ensure that public bodies act lawfully. None of them do. Don't forget, rationally, fairly, and compatibly with the human rights of those affected by their actions. None of them do. These are all the movies trying to wake you up. There's loads more. There's loads and loads. But there's one called The Civil Dead. There's one called Lost at Sea, Dead Reckoning, and Sons of the Sea. If you have a birth certificate, you are registered as dead and lost at sea and subject to public law. As a dead corporation, equal joinder to all things dead through the necromancy language. Who brought the dead back to life in the Bible? In the New Testament, Jesus is said to have raised several persons from death. These resurrections include the daughter of Jairus shortly after death, a young man in the midst of his own funeral procession, and Lazarus of Bethany, who had been buried for 4 days. We the people are not civilly dead to a law of necromancy spellcasters. The Judicial Notice Book is here to bring all the civilly, legally dead back to the land of the living. And that's what this is what this book's all about, to make sure that we kill all the contract words that make you dead on paper, which make you harvested and part of their necromancy system. So thank you for joining us, and look forward to speaking with you soon.